Coming up on LUTV News, a glimpse into how Lindenwood University handled the Spanish flu in 1918 compared to now. Plus, events are opening back up in St. Charles even with the effects of COVID-19. And a popular local business closed during COVID. Find out how the community helped to keep the business open. Those stories and more ahead on LUTV News. Welcome to this edition of LUTV News. I'm Haley Reeves. Lindenwood University is a historic campus that's been open for nearly 200 years. It was opened during the Spanish flu outbreak of 1918 that killed millions of people. I took a look at how they handled that pandemic 100 years ago versus how they are dealing with COVID-19 now. Lindenwood University has been around for 193 years, so to say that it's seen some things is not an exaggeration. Among those 193 years, Lindenwood has already gone through a pandemic in 1918 with the Spanish influenza.
1918, when the pandemic became evident, the state of Missouri issued a statewide quarantine for 3 weeks. According to the records, we found it in the archives. At the high point of the pandemic here at Lindenwood, there were 60 students quarantined. At that time, that's comparable to the worst that we've seen during this current pandemic. No students died. However, as the second wave hit in the late 1919s, early 1920s, one professor died in 1920.
While Lindenwood is doing a lot of the same things they did within the 1918 pandemic, a lot of things have changed with new technology.
They have hand washing reminders posted on most stores. They have hand sanitizing stations. They have monitors that take your temperature in certain buildings so that you know when you're going to class or if you're going to eat dinner or to the library, whether or not you have a temperature. They also send out daily reminders to check your own temperature to the students to take their own temperatures.
This time around, masks are also mandated.
Another big way that they're fighting COVID is that they have their own COVID quarantining building. So one of the dormitories on campus is housing students that have either tested positive for COVID or have been exposed to people with COVID.
In 1918, Lindenwood also had a dorm dedicated to quarantining students with Spanish influenza. This is Haley Reeves with LUTV News.
Learn more about Lindenwood's history at mohistory.org. Voting was at an all-time high this election year. LUTV's Will Crawford goes in depth into how 2 Lindenwood professors helped make that number among students grow.
2020 saw a record number of votes. Over 144 million people voted. 2 teachers at Lindenwood helped push that initiative to get out and vote this year.
And then Corey knew that I would love to be funded by Missouri Foundation for Health, and it would be a really good win and smart strategic move for Lindenwood. So she approached me with this RFP, which is a request for proposal. And when I read it, I'm like, yes, that sounds amazing. I can't do this without Barbara.
With the help of Barbara Hosto-Marty, Estlin made a campaign into getting students to know how to vote.
This project was designed to be a targeted outreach to younger voters and marginal communities in the St. Charles area so that we could help them provide them with the resources to overcome some of the barriers to voting.
Despite being in the middle of a pandemic, Hosto-Marty and Estel didn't give up and kept having events to help Lindenwood students know how to vote.
I was thrilled as how this project, we put a wonderful plan in place and it would have been awesome, but we had to think on our feet. So we had to adjust because there were things we couldn't do face-to-face anymore. There were, restrictions and contacts and things like that.
The results of the election show the persistence and hard work of the 2 Lindenwood professors showed the payoff.
Presented us with opportunities that we were able to capitalize on that we might not have thought of on our own. So I think it's really created a network of engaged citizens on campus that will have a life after this election.
Along with voting, there was another goal that the two professors had in mind.
One of our other goals was to really help our Lindenwood community be able to have challenging conversations and figure out we might not agree, but we can still talk and like each other.
For LUTV, I'm Will Crawford.
If students want to get involved with their efforts on campus, they can contact Host O'Marty directly or email the campaign at genzvotes@lindenwood.edu. Straight ahead on LUTV News, the touching story of how one campus sorority is using a past tragedy to better the community.
Risk for coronavirus. People over 65, people with underlying medical conditions like heart disease, chronic lung disease, asthma, diabetes, people undergoing cancer treatment, and people with weakened immune systems. What should you do if you or a loved one is at higher risk? Avoid close contact with people, avoid crowds, stay home if you can, wash your hands frequently. Learn more ways to protect yourself and others at coronavirus.gov.
My mother was always very familiar with her neighborhood, but one day she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual, and she didn't know whether she should go forward or turn, and she wasn't even really sure where she was at. It was very unsettling for her.
I felt so much better after my son told me, "Mom, I don't want you to worry or be afraid. I'll be there for you and we'll figure it out."
The Delta Zeta sorority held its second annual 5K this past weekend. Reporter Daniel Bell Wynn covered how one Delta Zeta sister inspired the concept of this event.
An early Sunday morning isn't stopping these Lindenwood students from running 3 miles for a special cause. On Sunday morning, the Delta Zeta sorority held their second annual Sierra Way 5K at the Highland Arena to benefit their nonprofit organization, the Sierra Way Foundation. The Sierra Way Foundation is in commemoration of their late sorority sister, Sierra Wilder, who passed after a fatal car crash in 2017.
So we thought this would be a great way to honor her presence here at Lindenwood and keep her memory alive. All of the proceeds go to the Sierra Way Foundation.
The Sierra Way Foundation's mission is to use the lessons that Sierra taught to build people, families, and community, and to live by the Sierra Way.
Last year, they were able to sponsor 3 families at Christmas time to provide food and gifts. They also do other projects such as the Princess Project, which gets lightly used prom dresses, and then gives them back to the community for free.
It's important because, especially at Lindenwood, since she was a part of Delta Zeta, we always want to give back to her and her family and know that we want them to know that we care as much as they do.
Participants were encouraged to make a donation to the Sierra Way Foundation, but the 5K allowed for runners to register for free, and everyone even received a free t-shirt. Various businesses in the community also donated gift cards as prizes for the first finishers of the race.
Delta Zeta is super important to so many people on this campus, and being able to support the Sierra Way is a really good opportunity for everyone.
Super grateful for everyone who came out today. If people are still willing to donate, they can do so via Venmo. It's at the Sierra Way.
Delta Zeta raised nearly $700 in donations from the 5K. The sorority hopes to continue to further the legacy of Sierra Wilder with its charitable efforts. I'm Daniel Belwin, reporting for LUTV News.
For more information, visit the Lindenwood Delta Zeta chapter's Instagram page. Events in St. Charles are opening back up amid the pandemic. Reporter Claire Beaudry visited the CoinX Coin Expo to see how the crowd and organizers are handling the event in the current environment.
As the country is starting to open up again for events, I visited Scotsman Coin, a jewelry Coin X Expo, to see how they were doing with COVID-19. Many people come to these events to show off their collections and to sell some of their collection. This includes jewelry, old bills, coins, and they also let people know where they are from above their seats. Before selling, the buyers examine the coins to make sure that they want to buy the coin, and some of the collections are only in cash.
Convention center is requiring masks in the building, which is good, and then every day we've been taking temperature checks for the dealers that are set up at the show and the public that comes in. So we've been using a different color sticker on the badges every day to make sure that everyone's getting checked in the morning before they get into the show. And then social distancing as well, making sure people are, telling people to stay as distanced from each other when they're out on the floor.
Most of these coins are pure silver or pure gold and go for over $1,000 at the auction, including the bills and jewelry. I even learned how to figure out a grade of a coin to see what it should be priced at the auction.
The grade is determined by either the person that is buying or selling the coin or one of the grading companies that it's sent off to. And the biggest factors of that, grading a coin officially in a hard plastic holder, is going to be the condition of the coin, the date, and the mint mark of the coin. So when it was made, what kind of coin it is, and what kind of condition it is.
For LUTV News, I'm Claire Beaudry.
For more information on Scotsman Coin and Jewelry, visit their website at scoins.com. Straight ahead on LUTV News, a local barbecue joint was forced to shut down just 2 months ago. Find out how the community rallied behind the business to reopen its doors.
This is Jaina, into the future. Do you remember back when I was in 7th grade? Anything that I would do, she would make fun of me, she would laugh at me, she would talk to her friends and whisper. I grew up to be more independent and love myself and just be a little bit more confident.
Aww, I'm like a little tearing up right now.
We know that we're asking Americans to do a lot right now. So we're asking everyone to be selfless for others so that we can protect those who are most susceptible to this virus.
A question I often get asked is, why should young people care about the spread of coronavirus? Well, we know that people with underlying medical conditions over the age of 60 are at highest risk, but they've got to get it from somebody.
Social distancing is really physical separation of people.
It's what we refer to when we ask people to stay at least 6 feet apart.
Not going to bars, not going to restaurants, not going to theaters where there are a lot of people. It all just means physical separation so that you have a space between you and others who might actually be infected or infect you.
We all have a role to play in preventing person-to-person spread of this disease, which can be deadly for vulnerable groups. For more information on how you can social distance, please go to coronavirus.gov.
1 in 3 adults has pre-diabetes. That means it could be you, your favorite brother, your other brother,
yes.
You, your football buddy, your football buddy, you, your plumber,
breathe right into your foot,
your plumber's masseuse,
yes.
You, your dog walker, your cat jogger. With early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
1798 Barbecue, a popular business just in our west in Cottlesville, shut down during COVID-19 and then recently reopened their doors. Reporter Billy Woods has their story.
1798 Barbecue here in Cottlesville, Missouri is a popular spot among local residents. The owner originally had to shut down before COVID because of disputes with labor. The community pitched in to help out, and now he's back and open for business. I sat down with the owner to talk about reopening his business and the struggles of owning a business through COVID.
Barbecue's kind of been just a whole family thing, starting as a kid, moving on through my adulthood, kind of taking dad's recipes, family recipes, and as we see, moving into a restaurant and making those big scale. So instead of one brisket, you're doing 5 to 10 briskets, and you learn a lot through that whole process.
Andrew opened 1798 Barbecue in late 2019 next door to his other business, Plank Road Pizza. Andrew also owns popular ice cream spot Cottlesville C&C. Between the three jobs, Andrew couldn't continue to be the only reliable worker, which led to him closing 1798 Barbecue 2 months ago. The community responded by helping find Andrew reliable labor at the same time as the COVID pandemic.
It was hard to keep everything going. I get here at 5 a.m. every day, and as I was teaching people to kind of help take over some of those days, those are the exact people who were getting taken out with quarantine. So we had to close down here, kind of readjust everything. We still have Plank Road Pizza that was open the whole time, but we were able, with the community's help, get back open with enough talented people.
Even though COVID has slowed business for many, Andrew is still remaining steady and keeping the doors open. For LUTV News, I'm Billy Woods.
1798 Barbecue, Plank Road Pizza, and Cottlesville C&C do not have phone numbers, but you can reach them through their Facebook pages. And that's it for this edition of LUTV News. I'm Haley Reeves. Thanks for joining us.